Mr. Mass. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. I try not to be tardy, but you know how it goes sometimes. I love it. What's happening, everyone? And welcome to the Systems Lab Live. I'm excited we're back in business for part 2 of Everyday Work. We're talking about mastering communication. We do have quite a lineup here tonight to talk about a few different subjects. We're going to be doing some show and tell tonight. But first and foremost, what's happening? How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is the week ahead? Make sure you put into the comments where you are from, what you're doing, how you feeling, and all that other good stuff. Would love to hear from you for sure. Definitely let us know how things are going and what types of things are happening. Make sure that you are dropping those types of information. Yes, feeling amazing. I'm glad. I feel amazing as well. Just feeling good. Just feeling good overall. Great day, good information, great conversations, good all. Everything went well today, and I'm looking for a very prosperous and very productive and fruitful Thursday. But a couple of things that I did want to get into, and we're just going to go straight into what we normally do for Systems Lab Live. We're going to go into show and tell with Ask Ash, which is basically where we go through trends and conversations, right, on workplace productivity. We talk about managing projects, managing teams, and I'm going to start incorporating more newsworthy or trend-worthy topics, discussions, water cool conversation topics, things of that nature that I think are really, really important for us to underscore. And so, with that being said, I think we're just going to dive straight into the last few points of the Asana, which is a project management tool where you go and you help to centralize your work and everything. We're going to go straight into the last few points of their Anatomy of Work Global Index. We went over it last time, and then also about a month or so ago, and I've been meaning to get back to it, but we had so many other things that we had to cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen so that we can go and talk through the Anatomy of Global Work Index. Those of you that are on Instagram, you don't need to necessarily watch this. I'm just bringing up a PDF document. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through a couple of points that I want to make. Asana usually every year, and I want to say every year because it's just been the past couple of years, they come out with this report that really talks about what's happening in the workplace, trends and things. And of course, their company is definitely aimed at streamlining communication projects, business operations, making things more easier and more collaborative for people to do their work and perform their work and execute their work at a high level. And so they have talked a lot about different types of trends. And so what we're seeing here today in 2022 is a clash of work cultures. Okay. What they mean by that is that 2 years ago, we embarked upon a pandemic, right? And so that disrupted the work of corporations, of teams, of businesses, of organizations from all across different industries. What we knew as work balance pre COVID-19 looks very different from what it looks like today. So the way that we work, live, and play looks dramatically different 2.5 years ago. And that is certainly true. So how many of you all feel the same way? The way in which I'm working, the way in which that I go about collaborating and working on things is just dramatically different. The way I manage my time is certainly different, right? It's just extremely different. And so organizations have had to, and leaders have had to come up with ways in which they can help their employees in which they can help themselves, the organization, be able to come up with a new system for people to thrive in. And in a lot of ways, it's been scary because, as we've been seeing in the headlines, so much has been centered on come back to the office. Some industries didn't have that opportunity. As we know, the nurses, one of the many true heroes within this particular space that we're talking about, many of them didn't get to go home or even work from home. They had to be in person. They had to be able to care for sick people, right? On a totally different level than maybe what they were prepared for. Same thing with our grocery store workers, Uber Eats, those that are doing those services and having those types of jobs, right? And we have to understand that the scary part about all of this is that it's giving people the opportunity, especially those that are having that telework lifestyle. It's giving people the opportunity to think, how do I want to live my life? You know, I've redefined work balance. I found out what my passions are. And to be frank and to be honest, many of people are standing up and saying, I ain't coming back. Ain't no way. So the backlash, right? The backlash is that many people are saying no to corporations in terms of forcing them to come back to work, right? And my only thing, even too, about telework and coming back to work is that people should have options. That's my whole thing. People should have options. And a huge part of that is communication. Communication is a huge part of that. And we are going to talk about that today, about communication. What's going on, Mogul Mike in the building? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the compliment. So that's what we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, is about communication, because we're literally in environments where it's hybrid or it's all remote. And for some people, you've been an online business owner and maybe you've always been remote, but still, even with the pandemic and the new way that we're working, how many of us know that just because you've done something last year or the year before doesn't mean that you don't need to make improvements, or you don't need to set up the proper systems and the processes to still be able to be efficient? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not even about necessarily that, oh, I don't fit into that category. It's about, now that we're living, working, playing, building a life that is literally something that we have many different hats. Now it's about what type of systems are we building in our life to support that. So I definitely want to make sure that we go through a couple of points here. I'm going to go down. And again, Asana surveyed like about 11,000 people to talk about what's working, what's not working within their organizations. Many of you, I'm sure, can probably identify with some of these things. When Asana uses the term work about work, they're talking about activities such as communicating about work and tasks, searching for information between apps, shifting between apps, managing priorities, and checking status updates. Lots of people, 60% in 2021, spent their time chasing after information, communicating about what they were doing, switching between apps. I know I can identify with that as well. And they spent about, let's see, skilled work is 26%, and strategic work with it, which is really your zone of genius, is 14%. So with that said, how much time are you lending to your actual gifting versus the actual aspect of asking about work status or collaborating with people or shifting between apps and that type of thing? So you have to start thinking about that. Again, this is one of the issues with that, is communication. Just because somebody is in the office, okay, or just because it's all remote, and again, also too, for online business owners, I know many of you are working with people who are in different time zones, different countries. So this is going to be extremely important for you to pay attention to for this particular lesson, is how can I make my communication better? Definitely go back to the replay for Monday, where I talk about synchronous communication and async communication. We'll go over that again, but I just wanted you to get the whole thing. Okay, I'm just thumbing through the guide right now. I'm thumbing through just to make sure that we kind of are covering a couple things. Woo, let's see. Over 1 year, 129 hours are spent on duplicated work. 129 hours are spent on unnecessary meetings. 257 hours could be saved with improved processes. Okay. Specifically, workers are missing 15% of their deadlines compared to 26 last year. All right, so that went down a little bit. Why are deadlines so hard to make? 24% believe too many meetings directly lead to missed deadlines. Again, we're going to talk about today about how we're going to reduce the amount of meetings and how you can stay super, super focused with having a project management tool that you can communicate with your coworkers. You can then actually look at the timeline and you can look at the Gantt chart. And I'm explaining to you all those types of things we're going to be diving into tonight, specifically Slack and ClickUp. This may be a part 1 and a part 2 of that. So we may pick that up back on Monday. So we'll see. But again, this is all related to communication. Communication can pretty much, I believe, solve half of what's going on here in this report. All right. Let's see. Workers are splitting their time between office and home, but there's an appetite to spend more time at home. Absolutely. People are investing into the home office experience, especially if you are an online entrepreneur, right? If you are a startup, whether you are a creative startup, solo dolo, you have a team of whatnot. We know that when you're creating content, many people are spending money and investing in equipment. They ain't trying to go to no studios, or they're not trying to be out and about. People are at home. They are upgrading cameras, equipment. Shout out to the How to Pod from Home with Deeper Than the Brand, and Nikki taught that masterclass. This is so important to know that this in the office is 23 hours, and then number of hours ideally spent 19. At home, it is 20 hours versus 17. So employees at medium and large companies spend 5% more of their work week on work than those at smaller companies. Our survey found out that 32% of medium sized business owners and 27% of larger businesses are more likely to miss action or updates than before, compared to 20% of smaller businesses. Yeah. So what does the future of work look like? This is actually one of my core areas that I like to focus on, that I like to study. Yes. So let's look at this, shall we? The future of workout. The future of work, not working out. The future of work. So, according to your research, do you see remote work as a lasting trend? Remote work is clearly here to stay. To put numbers on it, just 5% of full-time work days were from home pre-pandemic, and now my research suggests that it'll be 25% once pandemic restrictions are lifted. Post-pandemic, life will be much better for 2 reasons. First, work will mostly be hybrid, so employees will get to socialize with colleagues 2 or 3 days a week, helping to build connectivity. Second, we'll be able to easily see friends and families, right? So the point is that what we're looking at right now is that hybrid work environments, remote work is here to stay. And as Mark just said right here, shout out to Mark, 4-day work weeks. That's an option as well. Okay. Many people are doing 4-day work weeks and then everybody's off on Friday. So people get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Regardless of where you are, entrepreneur, career professional, both, what have you, or you're a part of, I also don't want to forget like volunteer organizations and nonprofits and other self-organizing groups out there, because many people can't go and travel, just for different types of reasons. You want to make sure that, again, the communication piece, the technology piece, that all of that is integrated within your life. So I'm going to back that up just to make sure I want to make it make sense and not confuse the 2 points, because Mark just brought up something that I wanted to think about. So what the point is right here is that remote work is here to stay. The aspect of virtual events, virtual anything is certainly here to stay. Hybrid is certainly going to be here to stay. There's always, I believe, unless it is someone that is hosting an event and they know that the market is going to come out. There was a couple of events that I saw, and they were not having a virtual option, which is cool, because I believe that you have to have balance, right? I think there definitely needs to be places and spaces where you need to have an in-person experience. You can connect with folks. It's great to connect with folks. I'm all for it. But most of things that I'm seeing right now is hybrid. People are doing virtual and they're allowing that in-person experience. So other aspects of your life that, for me, I think is going to be highly important in terms of the level of communication, because that's what we're here to talk about today. We need to make sure that our communication is top tier and top notch. If you volunteer with other organizations, shout out to the Urban League, shout out to other nonprofit organizations, you need to make sure that within your group, your team, your executive leadership, your board, your volunteer team, whomever, that you have a plan for communication. Okay. I just did a little makeover of my Slack mastermind group, and it is looking pretty nice. But we're going to go into another Slack channel so that you guys can see how you can set up communication within Slack. There's also other communication tools called GroupMe. People love a good GroupMe. GroupMe is great for social. It's great to just put people together and y'all want to talk and just, have a good time. Marco Polo is another video chat option. I like Marco Polo. For another peer mastermind group, we use Marco Polo and we use text message. Yeah, we use those 2. But for my other mastermind group right now, we are just solely focused on using Slack so that we can be able to keep our conversation streams. All right. So we've talked about that. I will absolutely encourage you all. If I can put the link in here, I'm going to go find the link. Asana, Anatomy of Work. Okay, wait a minute. I think I have the link right here. And I'm going to put the link in here because I think it's absolutely worth it for you all to. Okay, great. It's absolutely worth it for you all to actually download the report and look at it. It's so good. And I'm actually really excited because I get to connect with one of my favorites in that space tomorrow. And we're going to have a great time. No, it's not tomorrow. tomorrow's Thursday. I think it's Friday. And we're going to be talking about some really cool things. But he's one of the greats when it comes to the Asana work. So this is exciting. It is very, very exciting. Okay, I'm going to click out of this. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to click out of this as well. And okay, great. We are going to, I have some notes, folks. Let me go and bring up some notes because I do want to talk about the purpose of the async communication, Let's get into that. And I'm going to, let me make sure that we kind of got that going. We're going to head on into process and flow, folks. You already know what it is. Process and flow time. Process and flow. Okay. I do want to talk a bit about the benefits of async communication. We talked, okay, a little refresher, folks. Synchronous communication is real-time communication that is typically in a physical space. So you know what that means? So that means that when we used to be in the office, folks, we used to be in the office and we used to go to meetings to get answers for things. So that is essentially what async communication is. That is what async communicate. Oh, sorry. That is what synchronous communication is. That is what it is. Hold on one second, folks. I just want to make sure, y'all, because I think I'm freezing up just a teeny bit. But I just want to make sure y'all can see me and hear me. Freezing up just a teeny bit. I just want to make sure y'all can see me and hear me. Okay, I think we're good to go. So we're just gonna continue on. All right. So let me make sure that we got this straight. Synchronous communication that happens in real time. Two or more parties are exchanging information in the same moment with one another. Okay, that's what synchronous communication is. Async communication. This is where, again, the rubber meets the road, folks. Synchronous communication, typically, we're talking about phone calls. We're talking about video conferencing. We are talking about the fact that we are meeting in congregating, typically in a physical environment. Make sense? So asynchronous communication is any type of communication that includes a lag between when a party is imparting information that sends the information and the party receiving the information interprets it. This means that I can leave a message for someone I'm collaborating with, a team member, okay? And that particular team member, I can leave that message for them, and then they can get back to me when it is convenient for them. What I mean convenient for them, meaning they could be working on an assignment, and my particular I'm losing my train of thought because I think, hold on, because I feel like in the Instagram piece, hold on, y'all. I'm losing my train of thought because I think, hold on, because I feel like in the Instagram piece, hold on, y'all. I'm losing my train of thought because I think, hold on, because I feel like in the Instagram. All right, y'all. We're gonna keep it moving. I may just go ahead. Let me just go ahead and refresh the StreamYard for some reason. Yeah, we're just gonna refresh it, y'all. All right. Okay. We're back in business. I feel good about this. Okay, let's get back into what we were talking about. Synchronous communication. Me and you, right? We are here, we are together, we're typically in the same room. We need to have a conversation, phone call, Skype meeting, okay? Synchronous communication. I need information from you, you need information from me. We're exchanging information. Async communication means that I leave you a message within Slack, within ClickUp, and you will respond to me maybe in a couple of hours. Maybe I just want an update on something you're working on. Maybe I want you to review a particular PowerPoint slide or a task at hand. Synchronous communication. Okay. It's usually unscheduled. It's not something where I need you to be there in person. Excuse me. I need you to be there in terms of I need that immediate response. That's not it. That's not it. So, let's get to the benefits of async. It's flexibility to respond when you can. It's more honest communication because again, you are being transparent. And then it's better for people who are in different time zones. If I'm working with someone who's in California and I'm up at 8 o'clock, they are sleeping, it's 5 a.m. They could be up. I don't know. But if I start saying, hey, can you review this? And then I go and I go 15 minutes later and nobody's there, then I'm upset. We have a problem. We got a problem. Number one, we haven't established the rules for how we're going to communicate. And I want to get into that because Forbes had some really great information that I want to share with you. So when you want to establish a communications plan for your team, here are some points that I definitely want to outline and underscore for you all tonight. Number one, you want to identify what's important for communication. Meaning this, ask yourself this question. What is urgent communication? Define what urgent communication is. Urgent communication when what's a good way to put it? Is urgent communication for you? Again, it's different from other people. Is urgent communication when a client is like, hey, I'm looking for a deliverable. Is that urgent? Is urgent communication when something's broken? So you have to define what is urgent communication. Let me go back and let me open something up, y'all, because I think I want to type this out so that you guys can see the visual aspects of this, right? I want to make sure that we are that we have this straight. So that's the first thing, people, is that we want to make sure in terms of a communications plan, we want to ensure that we are establishing the ground rules for communication. Okay. So I'm going to put some boxes up so that we can kind of see what we're looking at. Let me just go in, make this the red box. And I want to talk about some questions to ask yourself. What's going on, Instagram fam? Glad that you guys are here and in the building. Some questions that you should be asking yourself is, what is time sensitive information? What is time sensitive information? All right. What constitutes urgent communication? How many of us are asking ourselves these questions? What is time sensitive information? If you are working with a team and maybe you need to know information, maybe you got somebody that's quarterbacking a project, working with a client, and maybe the client said something and maybe your team member's like, okay, I'm going to handle that. I got you. Oh, so and so, they probably need to know that, but maybe you're delayed, maybe you get sidetracked. So as a leader, we need to make sure that we're putting on that hat. What is time sensitive information? Write that down. And then have you communicated that to your team members? I think it's really important for us to know. What constitutes urgent communication? A little bit similar, right, to time sensitive, but urgent communication is defined as what to you? That's up to you. That's up to you. When it comes to the tools that you use, okay? I'm actually gonna, let me put this right here. When it comes to the apps that you use, Slack, that's the tool that we're referencing tonight. What type of communication do you want in the app? What type of items should be communicated inside the app? And this is my hot take. This is my personal hot take. Work-based tasks, or tasks that involve work or projects, right, should not find themselves inside of your text messages. You're going to miss them. All different types of people are texting you and whatnot. So it's really important to note. Make sure that you have communication inside of an app. It makes it more organized. You can find things, you can thread out conversations, and we'll look at that definitely within the Slack channel. I love this question too as well. What conversation should be public and what should be private? Now that depends on the nature of your team. That depends on the nature of your team. All right. So what convos should be public or private? Right? And that's just going to be dependent on the team itself. Questions so far that people have. I want to make sure that we have all the questions and things. I'm going to just dust up my glasses a little bit so I can make sure I'm seeing everything. But do people have questions? Do people have questions? Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. Whew. People have any questions at all about what we're talking about? Okay, cool. All right. So another aspect of this is that, this is how you begin to create a communications plan within your team. You're asking yourself and your team members, what should we communicate? Where should we do this communication? What is time sensitive information? What constitutes as urgent communication? And you should have this written down someplace. This is a simple Google Doc. This is a little flow chart. Shout out to Whimsical. You can create and craft this and share this with team members. I love it. TCB loves you. You said my issue is I'm keep typing and then we'll talk. Keep typing. I definitely want to hear that comment. So, foundational aspects of creating a communications plan within your team. So important with the projects that you're working on. Super important as you work on a remote team. You may only see each other physically in the little boxes, right? Google Meet, Zoom, and you may only be able to see each other a couple times physically. What I love too is my recent podcast episode that was released today, Conversations with Ask Ash. Okay. The Digital Jane talked about how communication is extremely important, as they are not necessarily a hybrid team, but they meet remotely most of the time, but then they gather together for their co-working sessions. Why? So they can bond together, right? And when they're not together, they have to rely on communication. They have to learn each other's personalities. Okay? That's a huge part of the communication. Behaviors, learning styles. If you thought the communication was just about we just going to send a little message, no, ma'am. All right. So we have a comment. I don't have a team yet. That's okay. You can also utilize this framework for how you communicate with your clients as well. And I'm assuming you have clients as well. I'm assuming that you do. But if you don't have a team yet, that's okay. Keep this in mind. Start writing down some thoughts right now. How do I want to communicate with my team members? Ask yourself these questions. You're going to have the replay of this, but when the time is coming, especially, and again, if you may not have a team yet, but you may have people that support you, that are a part of your, maybe they are a part of a team in a different, maybe they're not employees, maybe they're contractors, maybe it is a group of individuals that are coming together to help launch something. All of this is relevant. All of this is extremely relevant. All right. Let's get into Slack. And then I believe if we have time, we'll get into ClickUp, but I feel like we're going to get into ClickUp on Monday. That's okay. We are going to get into Slack. And with Slack, we are going to talk a bit about how to set it up. Let's see. And I'm going to pull it up. Oh, hold on now. I'm trying to pull one more thing up. Slack versus email. Yeah, I just want to pull up some introductory things about Slack so that you guys can see it. And I wanted to pull that up for you. Let's see, Slack versus email. Okay, here we go. So Slack, the product itself, well, and I'm just going to go right here. Here we go. This is what it looks like if you go to slack.com/features. This is the one platform for your team and work. All features of work, all the features of Slack work together so that you can too. It is managed by so many different people: Target, Uber, Netflix, U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, Intuit, Expedia. What's great about Slack is, again, this is about async communication. This is a perfect tool for that. You have channels, and channels are where you can create topical conversations. Slack Connect, you can collaborate with teams at other companies the same way that you do. Huddles and clips. Huddles is where you can actually have voice meetings inside of the app. And then, of course, messaging back and forth. There are so many integrations within Slack. I am probably on the upper, I'm probably like intermediate with it. I definitely have built out some workflows. Again, beginner's level workflows, but still, I built them out. And then absent integrations, I use Slack for a few things. One, to communicate inside many community groups I'm a part of. Two, I have a private only Slack channel for my clients. And then number three, I use it as my assistant to remind me of all the things that have to happen. Some of that includes like content creation, making sure that I'm engaging with people on the line. It just has a reminder because I'm not in all of my apps like that all the time. And so it just sort of reminds me to interact, check messages, things like that. It also pings me when I need to make a few task adjustments when somebody books a podcast conversation with me, a podcast call. And that actually happened today. So somebody booked a call with me, and then I got a notification from Slack via Zapier, and it said, "Hey, make sure that you update this thing, blah blah blah." And I said, "Sure will, sure will, sure will." So that's what's great about Slack. So many different features, people. So many different features. I will let me bring this back up to Slack versus email. It's not that email is broken, it's that it is limited. That's what it says. It's not that email is broken, it's just that it's limited. Okay, you can't have a good conversation over email. It's not quick enough, which is very true. You having instant communication is where Slack shines. So Slack offers transparency, flexibility, collaboration, security, integrations, and automations. Yes, I just set up a few automations within my mastermind group. So, because your girl is busy. Okay. So you can set up a couple of reminders and things, and that just helps keep the conversation, and again, keeps us transparent, keeps us open, keeps us flexible, keeps us collaborative, all those types of things. How to switch from email to Slack. Super easy. Sign up, invite your coworkers, pick up where you left off. Now, I will say this, and this is where I just believe in this. Make sure you're having the conversation with your team about A, what is your communications plan? And B, what is the process from switching from email over to Slack? Make sure that the transition is seamless. Train up folks, right? Have something 30 minutes, 45, an hour. Just talk about how you're going to communicate, suggestions, and inside of the app, train people on how to use it and what it's used for. You may need to have more than one, but you should be good to go with just one. Make it super simple, super easy. Don't overcomplicate the process. Audit and build. Audit and build. Audit and build. Make sense? Make sure you drop some emojis or a comment in the chat if you understand what I am talking about. Integrations are key, but don't do too many integrations. So integrate the appropriate things like Google Drive, Dropbox, and your project management tool of choice. And probably Google Calendar as well. All right. Let's switch over to the actual Slack app, people. We got some time to look at it. So a long time ago, folks, this is actually the Systems Lab Slack group that nobody is a part of. A long time ago, I did think to myself, maybe you should have a Slack group with people that may want to talk about what we're talking about on the Systems Lab. Maybe. Y'all can let me know in the chat if you would like a community group. I would love to know if people would be interested in being a part of some sort of community where we're talking about productivity, time management, project and task management, and everything in between. Basically, things we talk about at the Systems Lab, things that we talk about on Instagram, and y'all could just dive in here. You know, it also just doesn't also have to be here. It could be Mighty Networks. It could be Circle. Yeah. So we'll see. All right. Okay. So let's look here. And I think you guys can kind of see. Okay. Okay, great. One thing and that I want you all to kind of understand is that anytime you see this little hashtag general or introductions or the hashtag, those are channels. Those are customized channels. Okay. Customized channels. So what you should know about this is that, for instance, if we were to have the Systems Lab, Slack group, I would want to have a conversation, a channel dedicated specifically to the content creation process. Then this would be dedicated to just talking about the podcast. This would be talking about all things documentation. So you see right here, being able to categorize your channels helps for a smoother conversation and helps to not confuse things. How do you go about creating channels? You click here, the plus button, and create channel. And I'm going to create a channel. I don't know what is going to be. Maybe like apps. Oh no, we already have one as apps. Let's see. Leading projects. We're just gonna go right here. And then I can absolutely write a description. This is for leaders who are managing projects. So I'm going to click on create, and it's going to create the channel. It's going to ask me add people, all members, or add specific people. So I could add specific people. So we'll talk a little bit about permissions in a minute. I'm going to add all members to the Systems Lab. And same thing with managing projects, random, team communication. So one thing that I will do to make this easier for people is I'm actually going to create a sidebar section, which, by the way, it's a paid feature, creating sidebar section. Now, I will say this about good old Slack. I will say this is that there are some aspects of this actual site where you'll have to pay for some things. So that's a paid feature. Well, basically, you can just arrange different sections within the channels. So that's something to think about. Now, I mentioned simple poll. Definitely, you want to, if you want to poll your members, you can create a poll. You can capture a decision. So essentially, you can select the channel. Maybe it's leading projects, and you can say for this, capture a decision. We are proceeding with design number 1. So capture a decision. We are moving forward with the budget. Continue. And then you can have a link to it. This is cool. So as you have a project management tool, boom, you could put that there. Or if you have some text, You can write what this decision is about. Then you can capture it, and it's going to go straight to leading projects. And you can say, we're going to move forward with this. All right. But the apps are really great because you can, again, make your particular Slack channel super customized to do work for you. So team stand up, which is great. How does a team stand up work? So I'm going to click this right here. And you can essentially add a message. And again, the Slack directory has so many things. This is created by a workflow builder. So I'm going to open up the actual workflow builder. Let's see if this works, people. And I'm going to, okay. Great. So the workflow builder essentially creates a particular action. So I'm going to click right here. We're going to go to tools and we're going to go to workflow builder. And I'm going to we're going to switch right here. Workflow builder. So you can do this where you can create a workflow. So what I did is I have a workflow builder. When somebody joins my client tribe, which means like my private, like my coaching support, I actually have a message that says, this is where our 30-day coaching support and communication takes place. Feel free to ping. A couple of rules. If you're looking for any tips or advice on ClickUp, please record a Loom video. Go to loom.com and explain your questions. I'll reply between 24 and 48 hours. So upon the actual link and the actual diving into Slack and the app itself, when that person clicks on the button to join, they get greeted with this message. So another workflow. Let's see. Another workflow right here is a team stand up. Great afternoon. Just a quick check-in. Any questions on ClickUp? Let me know when you have a chance. Send a Loom video when you get a chance. So this is essentially saying it starts, it basically starts on this date and time, and it repeats weekly. Now, I think a workaround for this, to be quite honest, a workaround for this is that you can create a reminder, like a reminder, and the reminder feature can actually remind you of certain tasks that take place. So let me go and pull that up. Let me go and pull this up. Oh. So if I wanted to go here, I could say, I could essentially go with /remind, and I could say remind someone, remind the random channel, post a funny meme on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. EST. So it says, I will remind random to post a funny meme at 4 p.m. every Wednesday. How did I know to do that? I just spent a lot of time within the how-to guides within Slack. But wouldn't this be really cool to set that up for conversations in terms of team meetings, check-ins, and what have you? Now, one thing that you can do is if you didn't mean to send it, you could delete it. Or they have something called view reminders. And you can remind, you can delete it here. Or if you've forgotten what you wanted to remember, you can do remind and then list. And then it'll say, here's what you said in this channel in terms of what you wanted to remind people of. So let's review a little more with the Slack. How do you invite people to Slack? Very, very easy to do that. You click here and you can actually invite people. You can do a couple different ways. I usually do it this way, copy link, or since this is an organizational one, if there's people that, work with me, that can invite them that way. So invite team members using this link. And you can say it never expires or expires in 7 days. However that you'd like to do that. Very, 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 very easy to use. Icebreakers, such a cool app. And you can have rotating questions. So that is essentially what we have here today. When it comes to using Slack, remember, before you adopt the tool, have the conversation with your team members about what is our plan for communication. What does it mean to have urgent communication, time-sensitive communication? What exactly are we going to be discussing inside of the Slack channel? How are we going to be training our team members on Slack? Think to yourself now too, what automated reminders could we have? How could I use Slack to reduce the amount of meetings? And you can, because you can have mini meetings within here, especially since you're asking about status updates and what have you. So this is going to be a key way where you do not have to be on 5 different Zoom calls. Not at all. Not by using this particular blueprint that was shared with you all tonight. Well, that is all that I have for today. Again, a mini intro into Slack. We talked about communication, the benefits of async communication. And we'll be back on Monday because then we're definitely going to be talking about ClickUp. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. And we'll talk soon and have a great and safe rest of the week. Bye.